Well, you spent 2 years fighting this case.
Right.
Locked up the whole time.
Yeah.
I guess you tattooed the United States versus Gerardo Lopez on the back of your head.
Right.
You still have that tattoo?
I do.
Yeah. Well, you've grown your hair out.
Well, you know,
You
I
can't see it
that.
anymore.
You know, when I was getting that tattoo, I was like, maybe I'll go ahead, just fade it up. So I did it kind of like that. But when I got that tattoo, I looked at the indictment, and when I looked at the indictment, it says United States of America
versus line.
Gerardo Lopez. And I was like, what? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm from the United States of America. How are you going against me? Now you have a whole United States of America. You have all these resources. And also, and that's why I got it. And also, when I used to go to court, they would just bring up MS-13 political stuff from all of the United States, saying that and I was like, what does that have to do with me? So I was like, let's stop talking about the MS stuff. What is the charges that you actually have on me? And as time went on, there was none.
Well, you were actually offered a 4-year plea deal.
Right.
And your own lawyer told you to take it because with 2 years time served, good behavior, you would have gotten out in a couple months.
I was already down 2. I would have been in a halfway house in probably about a few months after that.
And your own lawyer was telling you to take this because you're facing 48 years.
Right.
And you actually turned it down.
Right.
Because you felt you were 100% innocent.
Absolutely.
And then out of nowhere, they just dismiss all the charges.
Yeah. Let me tell you how that went down. Well, when you're federally indicted, the feds have like a 99.9, 99.8 conviction rate. And you would think that these are convictions that go to trial.
These are plea deals.
Not. These are all plea deals, and that's why that's so high. And the reason that people don't want to take it to the box to trial is because the sentencing guidelines are too high.
Yeah.
You either get 10 years or you lose in trial and get those 48. Right, they hit you, and you have the gang things, MS-13, if you will.
Yeah.
They're trying to deem you as an MS-13 gang member again. They try to hit you with the high end. Now, I would have thought that my first attorney, would have represented me accurate and got the case dismissed. But his main thing, without looking at the case, was go ahead and take that plea deal. So I have a little bit of criminal justice background, with my degree, but nothing in a sense that would be able to represent you in court. So I started going to the law library in the feds. I started going to the law library and studying my case for, 8-hour days, 10-hour days. Then I was in the feds, and I got into a fight in there that was self-defense, and they sent me to the hole, and then it sent me to the court within there to go ahead and fight the defense charge. And they shot me to a county jail, Jefferson County Jail in Colorado, and I believe that a lot of that consisted was because my attorney was probably sharing information with the U.S. attorney. They're like, this guy's probably breaking the case. Now, why would your attorney do that? Because in the federal sentencing guidelines, the attorneys want to go ahead and have a good relationship with the prosecution for future bargaining deals. They don't want to climb up that mountain of studying hundreds of thousands of wiretaps.
You had a court-appointed attorney?
It was a court-appointed attorney, but it was a pro bono from a private attorney because every certain year they have to do these pro bono cases.
But that's still very different than having $100,000 that you're paying a top-notch lawyer to that is going to basically tear the prosecution apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a guy. Now I've seen the difference.
Right,
pro bono or not, it's very different than the guys that spend $500,000 defending themselves.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So there I am, and I started to write my own court motions because I started bringing out all the evidence that they were having against me in the grand jury that consisted of them flipping my words around and making it seem like I was dealing dope, on all the lies that they said to the grand jury to get me indicted. So I started doing this stuff, and I started shooting it to my attorney, and he didn't want to present it in court. So I ended up trying to fire him, and the judge didn't let me fire him, so he excused himself from the case. Mm-hmm. And then I get a second attorney who sees it like, man, Gerardo, this is so much corruption. There is that guy from the LAPD did follow you from LA to over here. It's retaliation for you coming out in the media and exposing the Rampart crash scandal. That's what it is. And So that goes on, and I'm just in my room just studying law, and eventually I started writing my own court motions and representing myself in court. And that's when my attorney came, that he was still on the case when I was going pro se, and he told me, okay, Gerardo, you know, they offered you these 48 months. And at that time, I'm telling you, man, guilty or not, you want to take it. You want to take it because it's 48 months or 48 years, guilty or not. He's like, you got until 12 o'clock today to call my office and take this deal. So I go back to my jail cell, man. And by this time, you know, I'm not saying that I was this tough guy within the jail cell saying, you know, I broke down a lot of times, you know, mentally, physically, you know, emotionally. I knew that I probably wasn't ever going to go ahead and see, you know, my kids or be able to come out. But it was almost like a Rocky Balboa fighter. I remember me watching Rocky all the time. You know, these movies where he got knocked down like 30 times and he ended up getting up in the end and winning. So I was looking at the phone to go ahead and call him, and you know, it was 12 o'clock, it passed by, and I kind of knocked on the door so the CO could let me out, but not very lightly and purposely. And then the time passed, and I was like, man, now I really gotta go. Now I really gotta go ahead and fight this. And then he came the next day, and he's like, you didn't call my office. And I was all like, no, I didn't. And he was all like, well, now they say that they're going to go ahead and extend it till today to 12 o'clock. You got it. I'm like, man, this is like a damn game show. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. What do you got, Bob? You know. So I was like, man, I got them. And like, we're going to go to the motions hearing.
Right, well, because they wanted a conviction on the record.
They wanted to convict me because they was portrayed on the news, and my attorney knew they wanted that conviction. And a lot of times they want to go, and my own attorney told me, you know what, Gerardo, take the deal. I was like, no, there's some more evidence here. He was like, no, they're going to come after me. I was like, dude, you're my attorney. You're supposed to go ahead and represent me to a due process of law, adequate counsel. So we go to the trial. The motion serves to a trial, and he doesn't put the government on the stand. And this is the motion to dismiss the case. This is the motion to dismiss the wiretap. All kinds of different motions. He doesn't put the government on the stand. And the judge denied almost every motion. But it was weird that he didn't deny the motion to dismiss, which was the biggest one. And then I go back to my jail cell, and I was like, why didn't you put the government on the stand? He told me because they already got caught lying. They could go ahead and lose their jobs, if you will. And that's when I started writing more motions. And 2 weeks later, they opened up that cell door to do that, and they let me free. And then as I start remembering of how that went down, the reason that judge started denying all the motions is for people not to. It could be also one for people not to be that happened something similar to it, for them not to be able to use my case law as well. And you know, thousands of people would have been freed. I mean, this court thing had all kinds of different.
It was set a precedence, basically.
Oh man, it had all kinds of different things that people doing, you know, life sentences for something that they didn't do, they could go ahead and use. And it was also to try to go ahead and block my my civil suit as well. So, you know, so I get out. And then I'm trying to look for an attorney to get the civil suit, and everybody told me the same thing. All the same attorneys. Look, we could sue the cops, but I'm not going after the feds because then they're going to go ahead and come after us. Or I'm having this case, and I don't want to piss off the feds for this client over here. So a lot of times I was blackballed within having the suit. And then eventually I did get an attorney, and he filed like a 1-page. You know, I mean, it was cool that he had the courage to file something, but it was like a 1-pager, and the government came back with like a 30 or 40-page rebuttal. All the attorneys and the FBI agents, the government appoints them an attorney. Then they had attorneys of their own as well.
Yeah.